This week on the AwayCast, the Order 1886, and where we place our value in games.
And what can developers do to actually make us happy?
Then we finish up with dessert and this week's recommendations.
I'm Greg.
I'm Francois.
I'm John, and this is the AwayCast.
How's that Starbucks coffee?
It's very good.
What flavor did you get? Vanilla, mocha,
Caramel.
Standard?
Caramel.
Caramel?
Caramel?
Caramel. Caramel and caramel are different things.
What's
They're the
caramel?
same thing. They're
Nope,
just...
nope, they're different.
Caramel's a name.
They're actually made differently.
How?
One is made by cooking sugar.
See, look, Greg put on Greg voice. One is made by
The
sugar.
other is made by something different than that.
You have to know your facts. You can't just contest.
I saw it on TV on how it's made, or it's something with Mark Summers, whatever.
I also
he does.
saw this thing on History Channel about aliens.
Fuck this.
So,
Fuck this.
Are
gotta-
they ancient?
they are ancient aliens.
I love that program though.
That's why you also think Carmel and caramel are different things.
All right, when we're done with this, I'm going to prove it to you. So actually, I have a phone right here. I'll just take care of it right now.
Well, maybe let's leave it to the folks at home.
No, I'm going to figure it out
No,
right
we
now.
need to know. Carmel and caramel. What's the difference? Find out on this week's AwayCast.
All right, Greg, so tell us about your Xbox One mic. What happened? Why are we
No,
not
I
talking
can't.
to you?
I can't. I don't know if the kid's going to listen to this.
No, he won't listen. Why? You told him we have a game podcast?
No,
Who
but
gives a shit? He stole some shit from you and you feel bad about
I don't
it.
know though. I mean, he had
stole
to have.
it. He stole
had
it.
to have.
So why are we still talking to you through your Xbox Connect microphone and not?
Make sure when you talk, you face the mic, just because that mic's not that great.
But what? I think we should probably openly call this person out and say, why did you steal my shit?
I'm not going to be too specific on this, but what I will say is, I sold something to somebody
Okay.
through a like Craigslist type thing.
Okay.
He came to my place to pick it up. Everything went great. He came with his dad, and I helped him bring everything downstairs. And everything was going well. And I left him up here by himself for a few minutes when I came
Big
back.
mistake.
I
I don't
know.
know why you didn't think
I
right
don't
there.
know.
Did he look questionable?
No,
What was he
not
wearing?
really. I mean, he's with his dad. I mean, he did look a little questionable.
Where
I
did they
guess.
come from?
He had long hair. East Setauket, I think.
Oh, okay. So they came from Long Island.
Wait, Hempstead, maybe? I don't remember.
All right.
And when I came back, he was going to the bathroom, but it was like a weird amount of time. Like it wasn't it wasn't fast enough for him to.
It was a number 2.
No,
time
though,
frame?
but it was weird. It was like somewhere in between, because the thing is, at some point, I realized he was not going to the bathroom. So he was ruffling around. I thought maybe he spilled something, or maybe he broke something. He was trying to fix it.
You thought you didn't give him a knock like, hey,
No. Because I was just
doing all right in there?
I was waiting with his dad, and even his dad was kind of like looking around, like, I don't know what's going on in there. And he comes out, and I was like, no big deal, whatever, everything's probably fine. Goes home. I realized I go on my Xbox. The only thing I can't find in my whole apartment is my Xbox headset.
standard. It's
Standard headset, not
cool.
even like an expensive one.
The one that came stock with your Xbox.
Exactly, this stock headset.
And now I think, though, if I went to the bathroom and I was trying to steal this thing, like, it's a nothing thing. Like, what was he shuffling around in there?
Putting it in his diaper, right? His underpants.
His underpants? But there's
Yeah.
no way. Like, the thing is so small, you could probably just put it under your shirt or something. Maybe you want to just make sure it didn't fall out on the way out.
I don't know. All I know is that I was robbed.
Of more than one thing.
Yeah, of many things.
Of your Xbox mic and your...
Dignity.
Okay. That was the easy one to go to, I guess. It's weird. Francois' head.
My trust.
Your trust
You're
for your trust for this shady Craigslist person
I
that
will
you found.
I will no longer trust shady Craigslist people anymore.
No more. You used to have the paramount amount of trust for Craigslist ad people that would come and take your things, and now
No,
that bar has been lowered.
Now I have 0. So it turns out the difference between caramel and caramel is exactly like I said. There's no difference at all. Just
right.
That people pronounce it
Oh,
wrong.
well, you're lucky then. I'm very happy that you're correct about that. It's
Yeah.
good to score one for the Greg team.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, our main topic for today is basically after the order coming out last week, too much scrutiny over time in game. Is just how much each of you guys kind of puts a price on your games, or do you value a game based upon how much time you spend with it, or do you value a game based on quality? I know a couple months ago we had this, maybe almost a year ago now, Greg, when we had this conversation about Gone Home, because it was a $20 game for about 3 hours worth of gameplay, and you eventually did play that game.
Yeah, I did. I bought it during the Steam sale though.
Yeah, well, it's all the Steam sale games we buy. I probably haven't even played 10% of those. But anyway, that one was probably worth it at the Steam sale. But we were kind of arguing at the time of.
I was just worried. I did want an experience like that at the time. I just didn't want to have to pay. I think it was $25 actually at the time.
Was it
$24.99 when it first came out? I think I ended up paying like $16 or $17 for it. And I know the difference right there isn't that much. I have a decent job. I have money to buy stuff. But, I guess it falters to principle at that point, whereas and looking back at it, you know what, it probably worth $25. It was a good, unique experience. But I guess, I'm a little bit careful nowadays with where I spend my money because, the game market, especially on Steam, is super saturated with a lot of garbage.
So if we're saying that back then, with our conversation back then, where the landscape has, it's gotten a little tougher for developers after, a year full of blunders and games coming out with problems and people losing the trust of the consumers. A game like Gone Home that runs about 3 hours, you double that time for $25 and you're sitting around the price of the order, which was $60. And some people are saying that, if Gone Home was 3 hours, I finished the order in about 7.5. It's about double time, but people seem to be pretty, adamant about attacking the length of time.
Do you think that it corresponds though to the actual game that they were playing? Not just time will obviously be an issue, but do you think that maybe they're a little bit upset that the game wasn't that good? Well, it's like it lacks unique, good original gameplay, and also I was done with it in 7 hours, and a lot of that time was spent watching, dialogue. So,
right, I think it gets down to the foundations of where you feel comfortable spending your money, or do you have the money to take a gamble on a new IP or a new game that maybe is going to screw you over in the end? And that's where we come into issue, the past couple of years, where people are like, vote with your wallet, make sure you don't spend no pre-orders, rebel against pre-orders, because the past couple of years, once again, they've been pushing pre-orders because that's how they guarantee sales, so
we're talking about hypotheticals, right? Because we are big-time journalists who get all our games for free. So we're talking about imaginary money we're spending on games, right?
Right, exactly. It's hard for me even to weigh in because there's a wheelbarrow in my living room full of free games.
Good. I just wanted to make it clear to our listeners, who look at us and they know we're big-timers. Definitely. Things have changed a lot, right, with the pre-orders and stuff, where they push this stuff like crazy, just like Mortal Kombat X is coming out, and a character is being developed specifically for pre-orders. I'm sure he's eventually going to end up in the game, as DLC paid for or not. But it's just I don't like that. I want to get a game and it's complete. I don't like picking up a game and it's not 100% right out of the box. I have to worry about a pre-order if I pre-order it in time.
I was just thinking about that the other day. I was thinking about when we were kids and we get games, and they were always the whole game. When you got a game, it was the whole game, and there was no bullshit. I was thinking about specifically, and I always bring up Zelda as a reference, but getting Ocarina of Time and imagining if that game came out now, it would be you would get the first 3 temples. And then they'd be we're going to come out with the older Link version coming out next month. You'll get the next half of the game. Yeah. And then there'll be a multiplayer mode that no one will play, but we put it on there to make it feel like you spent this much money and it was worth it for you because we just tacked it on there.
So there's different ways to look at that, I think. I think when you look at shit like Steam Greenlight or, early access, right? That is where you're not getting full games, but you're paying full price for games. When you're getting full shipped retail console games and stuff, you're getting the full game. There's no point that you're not getting the full game. However, they will amend it, and that's what, it's unfortunate that they can do that, but it's also good in certain ways because, games can amend.
I just hate the fact that I have to second guess if I'm getting the full value of a game. Like, do they purposely hold back certain things just to ship for DLC? Or like, this is one of my biggest pet peeves, but just game unlocks where the content's on the disc, but you have to pay just to have that content
See,
unlocked.
that's the difference. That's more along what Greg's talking about for sure, where it's like when they're hiding it behind app unlocks. We saw that obviously with Assassin's Creed, which now they are turning back on. They are actually unlocking the whole game, even if you don't have, access to the apps and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But even like the on-disc stuff, sure. But then there are people facing a lot of developers facing a lot of flack because people think that they're not getting the full game. Meanwhile, there's months when a game goes gold, and developers have 2 months to maybe add another mission or two.
I think probably Destiny is like the prime example of something like that,
right?
Because the game itself is actually really good, and the DLC we're getting is actually really good. It makes you think that if you actually had all of that as one game,
right,
would that be like one of the best games released in like the last 10 years? It possibly could have been.
Right. I mean, I think if maybe the Dark Below came out with Destiny to begin with, or see if you go for Hearts and Minds, say if you bought Destiny in the first couple months and Bungie was like, get the first episode of the DLC free, because I think it's very important how you word things to the customers nowadays.
Right.
So making it seem like, there was a point in Destiny where people were like getting through areas that you weren't allowed to go to, and they were like, why is this locked? Why can we not get to this point of the game?
It's here, it's on the disc, it's on my system, why can't I play this?
And people, and what happens when the pitchforks and torches come out, and people are just like, what, I'm unlocking stuff, and it's like, no, it's not done yet, it's really not. And it's a shame that some of the more companies that do with malice, and the companies that don't, they kind of damn themselves and damn each other.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate. But to bring back bring us back to our first point about value in games, like Francois, where as someone who has a diverse background in games, except for not playing Zelda or Resident Evil, right?
Oh, come on! Don't do that now. I play those games, by the way. I just started playing Majora's Mask.
Well, you're reviewing Majora's Mask right now, right?
Yeah, it's like one of the first Zelda games I'm going to try to sit down and actually beat. I've played all of them a little bit.
It's so weird to me because you're a Nintendo guy.
I tweeted at Francois, I was like, you know what, man? It really pisses me off that you walk around with that big Nintendo smirk on your face all the time and you've never played a Zelda game.
I've played them. I'm just
no, you haven't.
Why can't you just be honest? Why can't you just be honest and say that you haven't played them?
Okay, so what was your question about?
Into the mic.
My question was basically, where do you put your value in games? Like different people think, I know that all three of us kind of have different opinions right here. So that's why I'm excited to get into this topic. But I know, for instance, you typically, being that we can afford games or we get games or whatever it may be, I know you don't put as much weight on the length of a game.
Right. Because specifically, I'm not a fan of games that take a long time. So I like the short bursts of fun, right? Like if I wanted to play Destiny, I could just jump in the mission, call it a day, and go to sleep. Mm-hmm. Whereas I'm not a big fan of RPGs because I forget. Like if those games are typically pretty long, and if I don't play it for a little bit, for like a week or a few days, I forget where I left off. I forget where the story's going. I forget where the mission was supposed to.
Right, it's discouraging to hop back in.
Did you play Wii Bowling? Did you ever play that?
Yes.
That was fun, right?
Very deep.
That was fun, right? Like
yes, it was.
A quick spurt of fun that you like. Would you pay $60 for Wii Bowling?
No. So my value in the game is the experience, right? If it's something that's kind of wowing me, kind of doing something that I didn't expect.
Right.
I guess I like good storytelling. I like, just the experience itself. Not necessarily the length, or even like with just a good multiplayer is good for me. It doesn't even have to have a good story. It's just that experience of having fun with people. Or
at least multiplayer is almost timeless at that point, though, because there's no timer on multiplayer.
But there's also a risk of, in the case of like BioShock 2 or Tomb Raider, where like the multiplayer is done by a different studio and feels completely disconnected.
I feel like there's so many instances of multiplayer being tacked on as just a selling point now because everything has to have multiplayer, which is another thing I think is ridiculous. They need to just make more games. It's like, this is for you to play by yourself. This is a game for you.
Yeah, but then people can be like, there's no, like, you know, we won't. But
just make a good game though. If the game is a good, nice game that's going to keep you occupied and challenge you and force you to become actually play this game and have your own experience that you could share with your friends. I think that's something that we don't have anymore. I kind of miss that.
What it comes down to, dude, is just, what it comes down to working as a designer. It's just the core studio is happy to make a good game, and then a suit comes in and goes, there's no multiplayer in this game? Right. Dude, everything's got multiplayer. Halo's got multiplayer.
Yeah.
Why can't we do multiplayer? And
I know that. I get that.
Right, but, totally.
I think that might be why I do personally lean more towards the RPG games. That's why like game like Fallout is like my favorite game of all time.
Right.
Skyrim, these games that I play by myself. So I don't have to be competitive. I don't have to worry about what I'm actually doing. It's these open kind of worlds where I can kind of go at my own time and explore and go on like these adventures and like dig into the lore and like become part of this other world. And obviously I can't compare. We were just talking before the podcast, like, and Francois made a good point to me about putting prices on time. And I guess it's not entirely fair to do that. But I think if your game is going to be, 5 or 6 hours long and you're going to charge $60 for it, it needs to be something special. There needs to be something unique about it. There needs to be a reason that someone's going to spend that money and feel okay after the fact that it happens. And a game like The Order that has this massive, marketing campaign behind it, it's a little deceptive. I feel like it's a little bit deceptive to people. And that's coming from someone who actually hasn't even played it, who's just read enough about it and watched people play it and
on Twitch and stuff.
Yeah, to feel like I wouldn't buy it at this point. It's something that if I was someone interested in that game, I would probably wait like 5 or 6 months until I can get it used for $30.
Well, that's the thing though. It's a bit short, but if it's a good experience, then it's a good experience. Same thing with if the game is long, but the experience sucks, you don't want to play that either, right?
Sure.
So it has to be that good balance of both.
But when I feel like there are developers who are putting out that, and this is not a rare occurrence. I feel like it's almost the norm for some of these developers to put out these games that are 40 to even 100 hours long that are solid all the way through, that make it kind of hard for these developers to justify a 6-hour game for $60.
Yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right on that. It's just I think you can't knock a game just based on that, like just one aspect. It has to be, hey, if the game is short, sure, but it was still a really good experience.
Right, like it's almost as if when you review the game, if you should make like a retail consumer recommendation review first, and then like view the game as an artistic thing or a gameplay type thing, where you can almost separate the two. But at the same time, Greg, like we mentioned earlier, where you said, we compared The Order 1886 and Limbo.
Yeah, that's the comparison I was making, because I really enjoyed Limbo, and that was a game I was telling people that like I spent I think $20 on Limbo. I think it was $19.99.
I think it
might have been $15 when I bought it. This was when it first came out, so it might have been $20. I don't remember. So we were comparing the two of them, and they're both probably about the same length, and I think that makes it hard for a game like The Order to kind of be like, this one's worth 60, that one's worth 20. And then Francois made actually a good point. He asked me if I would have spent 60, if I would have felt okay spending $60 on Limbo, and I said, actually, yeah, I probably would have felt okay with that because of the unique experience that the game offers.
Right, but I think the consumer, they don't look, well, the average consumer, I guess like the average casual gamer, they see the difference between a Limbo and The Order, right? There's a definite production value difference there, where Limbo, you could tell, was super easy. Yes, it's very artistic, but really basic, really simple to make, just black and white, where The Order is gorgeous. So definitely there was more dollars put into that. But yeah, they're both.
It's gorgeous, but it's also something that it's not like it's anything we haven't seen already. And sort of you get to a point now where yes, it's beautiful and it's it's super polished and gorgeous, but it kind of starts to blend into the background with a lot of the stuff that's already coming out that sits at that same caliber.
Well, that's the thing. I think Limbo and games like Braid and Limbo and pretty much any great game. Not only is it a great game, but it also its timing. The way that it slips into the current landscape has a lot to do with how it's rated, So a game like The Order, where I'll talk about the game in a second because I wrote the review up on the website, but that game can't slip into the landscape and surprise anybody because we already know, okay, it's a beautiful new IP. Obviously, we can tell that it looks good from everything we've seen that they've handpicked. They're showing us how beautiful the game is. But then they're showing us, okay, it's a third-person over-the-shoulder shooter. Okay, that's checkbox number 1.
That's classic PlayStation right there.
Okay, well, and then just the classic gaming landscape right now is just third-person over-the-top, over-thing shooter, quick-time events. The illusion of choice. Like you have choices in the quick-time events. You do, but they both lead to the same direction. I'm trying to think of other parts of The Order that. They're slices, they're perfect slices cut from the cake of current gaming. And once they're all put together, you're not left with any one thing that stands out aside from the graphics. And unfortunately, graphics don't even matter to anybody anymore. Like, it's nice to see and say, whoa. And, it's something that I felt, I was taken back looking at the graphics in The Order 1886. But at the same token, Greg mentioned Limbo, and you know what? There was moments in Limbo where I was probably more in awe of the art style than I was in 1886 with the fidelity of graphics.
It's something you're not used to seeing, and you're like, wow, this is really unique and it's so creative. And while The Order is gorgeous, we're kind of desensitized to that kind of beauty just because we see it so often in everything.
Well, that being said, I don't think The Order should be a game that everyone passes on. I think everyone should play it at some point. Just when you're comfortable with spending whatever amount of money you want to play on it, play it, because it took a lot to get to where we are now. Even if it is a silly trope right now, third person over the top had to fail quite a bit or had to take flack for a while before it got how solid it is now. Or the shooting mechanics had to get to a position where they now it's just the medium now. So like Francois said, there has to be something that stands out because everything else is already expected at this point. We're not expected to have a broken AAA shooter. Well, I shouldn't even say that because there's enough broken stuff out there. But
well, you're saying there's so many shooters out there now, and I think it's funny because gaming keeps going through these little cycles where we're at the point, and it's been like this for years now, but we're at the point where there's just so many shooters, there's so much of the same stuff we've seen before. And this has happened to other genres too, right? There was a time where rhythm games was just everywhere, non-stop rock bands and Guitar Heroes. There was a time when there was just so many platformers. You had your Banjo-Kazooie and Conker, and they were all great games, but a lot of them weren't doing so hot because there was just so much of it out there. So I think that the fact that this shooter scored so lowly, even though maybe 3 years ago it would have been a top tier game, is because of the oversaturation.
Sorry, Greg just put on his TV. I have to make mention of this. We can't just skip over this, right? Greg just put on the Yule log on his TV, or the fireplace on the TV. And let me just tell you something.
It's nice.
It's nice.
Yeah, it feels good in here.
This is like a high def, and Greg's got a really nice setup in this in his studio apartment here with lights. This is what do you think, Francois?
I can't believe you put that on while I was on my train of thought.
I know, I totally. I saw you starting to panic. You were like, what
are you pointing at?
He was trying to tell you to talk into the mic better.
I was telling you to.
But my favorite part is when the fireplace came on, Greg muted it, so the closed caption says crackling at the bottom. Crackling at the bottom.
I just want to make, I don't know if we're going to move on real quick, but there's something I've been holding. I just wanted to say, I think you're going to get into the actual aspects of the game or whatever, but I just want to say, just as someone who hasn't played the game and not even looking at it as a gamer, just taking a step back from this whole thing, I feel like these companies in general would benefit by taking their games that are short like this and just cutting the prices down because they'd sell more copies and they'd get better press. I think just from a marketing standpoint, if that game, even if they lowered it $10 and said it's a $49 game, I think that would mess with people's heads just enough to be like, okay, it was only 7 hours long, but I only paid $50 for it.
Right.
And I think they get a much better response out of people.
Well, Francois, what do you think about that? Because Nintendo's been known to do some price cutting for their major releases recently, right? Wasn't there some $50 game?
Well, I mean, Captain Toad released at $40, and Kirby's coming out at $40 as well. I think they recognize their top.
How can you not buy
tier.
those games? If you play Nintendo games and a game comes out for $40, everyone's going to buy the game.
Right, exactly, and it's smart, right? Because those games are not the Mario Karts, not the Smash Bros, not the Mario 3D World.
But they have the familiar faces that every Nintendo fan wants to have.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I think they're doing something really smart there that other publishers like Sony could benefit from.
See, I think as a marketing strategy, Greg, yours is definitely the better long term, but I think they want that spike in $60 sales on day one. And now,
I know that says something when that happens, and that's probably what they're going for. But I think longevity wise, and if they want to start to create, I feel like when you compare them, PS4 and Xbox right now, they're both great consoles, and I'm not going to shit on either of them. But I tend to feel like more games are coming out for the Xbox. I feel like Xbox has more releases at the time, right? I mean,
they're pretty even.
Yeah.
And it all depends on where your hat lies in terms of exclusive titles. I mean, right now we're not getting anything.
Right.
Right. I mean, The Order is really the only thing. We have Ori and the Blind Forest coming out, and then Bloodborne next month for PlayStation. So, I would say it's fairly even. But what was
I just think that as far as building more customer loyalty and making the people who are buying your games feel good, especially because everything is so expensive right now. The fact that games are $10 more than they used to be, the consoles are expensive. Everyone's buying new TVs right now. Technology is maybe just start to not try to fuck people, be like, this game is only 6.5 hours. There's no multiplayer, or 7.5 hours. There's no multiplayer. There's no replay value. It's a lot of the same shit you guys have already been playing. Let's not piss everybody off, and let's take $10 off the price.
But they're also looking to fill in the hole that they dug in development, and just because it's a shorter game doesn't mean that development costs weren't.
I was going to ask about that though. Did any of you did you more specifically, John, look into the development? It seems like to me, did something go wrong? How long was the game in development for? I mean, so much hype over the past 2 years,
just a couple
3
years. Yeah.
And you'd expect a game like that to be a little bit, to at least come with more to it, or a DLC or something.
Well, see, that's the thing, is we really don't know. We know that they showed this at E3 2 years ago, and heads were turning, and they were saying, what's this new Victorian London looking crazy co-op shooter? Is it going to be like Left 4 Dead within Victorian London?
Right.
What's it going to be like? Werewolves?
Do you think something changed? Maybe there was a hiccup, or do you think that this was the plan?
No. Without a doubt, things changed. Something changed. There was, I can't pinpoint a drastic one, but through development, obviously, things have changed. It could have been a timing thing.
See, and that makes me think that the fact that they didn't budge on that they left it at $60. They didn't promote it as being something that, they didn't promote it as being a shorter game or anything like that. It makes me wonder if they're like, fuck, we got to recap on all the money we dumped into this because plan A didn't work. We had to go to plan B. I'm speculating, obviously. I have no idea.
What game did that recently? Destiny, pretty much. We're bringing up Destiny quite a bit today, but Destiny did the same thing, where Bungie kind of retracted what the original idea of Destiny was supposed to be as this larger story, story-driven.
We were all expecting an MMO.
Right. And
same thing with Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. This isn't the first time that a game oversold and oversold and underdelivered.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. My short trip through The Order, I had fun. Maybe it was because I didn't put $60 into it, but I think there's some merit to be had in the game, but it also in a bleak landscape with a lot of this, a lot of the same generic things going on in that game. I don't know. I gave it a 6. I think a 6 is okay.
It's fair.
Because you know what, man? It wasn't broken. The game wasn't broken. It worked.
6 out of 10, right?
Yeah, it wasn't broke. I don't like to talk about scores too much.
If I didn't buy that game and I was reading a review and the review said 6 out of 10, there's no way I'd go buy the game for $60.
Well, also review scores have changed drastically throughout the past couple of years. Where an old 4 was now a 6. Like, I think everything, just because we like to have that kind of, I don't know. Everyone's going to buy a 9. Everyone's going to buy a 10. I would buy an 8 always.
Yeah.
But some people wouldn't buy an 8 because it's not perfect.
6 is scary.
I mean, I remember growing up just looking at games that were scoring really low that I actually really enjoyed. I mean, I already had the game. And then I would just look at old review scores to see what it was, and I was like, "Oh, I actually enjoyed this 5."
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, that's why
really
that's why you have to know the people who are rating the games. Like,
right.
you have to like agree with them most of the time in order to benefit from any of their actual scores.
Exactly. I mean, Greg, I was about to say the same thing. It's just like you have to trust who you trust that writes about games and align your opinions with people who you're comfortable with aligning your opinions with. And go ahead.
Yeah, long story short, we're always right. So
yeah, that's pretty much it.
I put out there, or any of us. Yeah, everyone.
So you better go try all those new Sonic games that Francois just wrote about.
That article I just put up on those Sonic games, definitely.
You have to play them all.
And I just put one up on for Superman 64. Get a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
So make sure you guys go play that one too.
Yeah. Align your opinion with ours, guys, because
we are right.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else is wrong.
So, after having that conversation about where our worth goes into gaming, like how much money do you feel comfortable spending for something, etc. We just read an article. I had you guys read an article by Dave There, Their, Dave There. I guess that's how you say it, right?
Possessive, right?
There, it's his article. Basically asking a pretty good question. He asks. Are we asking more of developers? A lot of people have worked for a long time to make shooting and brawling mechanics satisfying. So if just showing up and doing your job no longer counts, it means you have to bring something else to the table, which is kind of what Francois said earlier, where, you can do, I think you said it, or did I say it? Somebody. Anyway, you have to, even if you do a bunch of things mediocre, like the Order 1886, you have to have one thing that at least stands out that people can say wow at to forget the fact that the rest of your game is mediocre. So do you think that journalists and games press and consumers are asking more of developers now?
I just think if it's not something unique, if there's nothing special about your game, you shouldn't advertise it to look that way. I think that it comes down to more honest marketing.
Well, we can't blame them. They want to make their money, right? And they're going to sell whatever they're trying to put on the shelves. But I think, like if a game works, that's fine. But it definitely needs more than that, right? Because I'll just make a dumb example, but Candy Crush, right? It's a match 3 game. There's a ton of match 3 games out there. But what makes it unique? What makes it different? What makes it stand out? It's some of the, I don't know, the colors, the power-ups and stuff like that make it stand out. And that's why people like it so much. But, if it didn't have that foundation of being just a solid, whatever, swiping mechanics, it wouldn't have caught on because there's Bejeweled, there's all these other match 3 games.
It'd be next to everything else in the App Store. I think what helped Candy Crush catch on is the
social media aspect.
The social media aspect, where it's like you have to ask a friend to continue for a life or something like that. Yeah. But even that, I mean, sure, that's not a very honest exercise in dealing with the gamer, but it's also a very smart marketing strategy, or a very very smart, like, using social media to your advantage type of strategy.
It's like, just totally manipulative.
Absolutely manipulative. And if you're a businessman, you don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
Right. But just the fact that a game works is not enough. You need that for a foundation, but then you need to build on that as well.
But it's so crazy, man, because months ago, about a year ago, or actually no, when did Unity come out? A couple months ago.
Yeah, November.
Right? So like they went from having fully functioning games to having broken games again, which, like, our standard is constantly shifting, and it seems like people, consumers or people that are involved in the game community online are like, they're sick and tired all the time now. Like, there's no, I don't know. Don't people just seem more generally more frustrated with everything all the time now?
I think people.
I'm frustrated.
I think some people have gotten screwed, and it might go back to people just spending lots of money on games and not being happy about what they're getting. It also has to do, I think, with the marketing. Like Francois said, they're going to try to sell their games no matter what. So if the marketing isn't honest, like, fuck you, who cares? We want to make profit on our games. And I think there are a lot of bitter people because
think about the person who doesn't even go on message boards and read about games. Think about the person who doesn't talk about games like we do. Think about the 14-year-old kid.
Exactly, but those kids aren't even paying for the games. Those kids get one game every 3 months because their parents pay for it.
Let's say that's the situation, right? Yeah. They're allowed to choose one game to have for a couple months, and they're the ones that are most susceptible to the marketing techniques, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a kid and you say mom and dad, or you take your allowance and you go and buy the order, or you go and buy, whatever game it may be. We'll use the order because it's a contextual example, but you go and buy that game, and then you're expecting it to last you 2 months, and it lasts you 2 days, not even 2 sit downs of playing it.
That sucks.
So who is to blame at that point? Is it because the kid couldn't wait? Should he have done his research? Who is at fault at this point?
I guess the kid, he shouldn't expect. I mean,
but these games are marketed for those kids. So.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's more than you can't really blame one thing. I understand that, but it's kind of like people that.
I guess at the same time, if that kid had Dragon Age, he might not know what the fuck to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but he shouldn't. I mean, if he expected a game that would last him 2 months, but it actually lasts him only 2 days. Lesson learned, right? Next time he'll know to look into something like that.
You hit exactly where I wanted to hit, Francois, because talking about this Forbes article, it's saying we've had enough time of getting burned, and people have had enough time of just kind of seeing how media and how marketing can manipulate you to a way where they're getting burned firsthand. So now it's up to the developers now to make right on that, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's hard. It's even hard for me to understand this situation, because when we were kids, we didn't tell our parents that we wanted to get a new game every 3 months. We went to Blockbuster every week and just rented a new game, and that was it. And we'd either beat that game, or if we played it and we really liked it, we went and bought it. And this way, we knew for sure what we were getting. Right. You know what I mean? And now that we can't rent games anymore. Mm-hmm. What that kid's going to end up doing? He's going to bring the game back to GameStop and get $30 trading credit and buy another game.
No, but I mean, kids now, they have YouTube, they have Twitch, so they could do their research if they wanted to. And
watching someone play a game and actually playing it, I think, are generally.
But I think we were getting burned a lot as kids too. I mean, there was no such thing as reviews, right? So I mean,
yeah, but all those games are practically the same. I mean, when you're going out renting a Sega game or renting a Nintendo 64.
Well, that was the age of the platformers. If you're looking at SNES days too, all the games were the same, just looked differently, right? Yeah. To a degree. And then the ones I don't know. Then the ones that stood out did stand out. Yeah. But I remember, even if I got a game, I had no idea what it was, I would force myself to learn and play it multiple times.
Sure. Right. Yeah. Because even when I was a kid, I was buying games that were pretty terrible.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember going to Toys R Us and flipping up that little thing, and you had to look at it upside down. Remember? Greg, do you remember going to Toys R Us and buying games?
I don't know. I think I know what you're talking about. I'm just starting to get weird flashes of it. It's like
there's a ticket.
The cover.
There's a ticket. So the games weren't actually in the rows. You'd go in, and there's all these plastic sleeves with all the covers of the games. Right. And you would take the ticket out and go up to the front, and they would go get your game.
Right, they didn't want to leave them out.
And I remember spending hours in there. My mom was like, "Come on, I'm just on my way home from work."
And you're like, I don't know which one.
I don't know which one, and that's the thing. And now you're pre-ordering because you know exactly what you want on what date. And then it was just I want to shop around. I didn't even follow release dates when I was a kid.
I remember going to Funkoland, and I don't know if they did this to every customer, but they let me try. And they let me try the games on their TV or whatever setup they had first. And I remember I got to try out Mario's Missing, which
my god,
which is a terrible game. So thank God they let us check it out first, and then we tried out Mario All Stars, which was
good game.
Yeah, that's amazing. That game's amazing. That's bang for your buck right there, Mario All Stars.
4 remakes of some. I keep going back to that game, a lot of talking points, but 4 great remakes, 4 great games. It's just that was unheard of. It won't happen again.
I loved Mario All Stars. Hey, was Funkoland nationwide, or was that just New York?
No, it had to be everywhere.
Did it have to be everywhere?
I think so. It had to. I mean, that's the GameStop of the
just because of
90s.
people. Was it?
Well, EB Games too.
Well, they had Babbage's, EB Games.
But EB Games and Babbage's were PC focused.
I thought Funkoland might have just been where we live. So I didn't know if people would understand the misery of Funkoland when you bring 12 Sega games in, and they'd give you $4.
Well, it's the same thing for GameStop now anyway. So,
but yeah, I think kids have the tools to check out games they want. I mean, it may not be renting games from Blockbuster, but I think GameFly is still a thing, right? Or I don't know.
Well, I had
Demos?
GameFly. I had GameFly for. Well, actually, demos are kind of, you can download a demo for anything now.
So there you go.
For the most part, yeah, that kind of answers that. But what do you think the move is for both of you guys? What do you guys think the move is on a developer's part to make right? Like, if say you were going to release a game, right? I know we're oversimplifying it, but okay, you have a solid game, you have the framework of a solid game, you know what's coming out. Where do you put your extra effort and budget into once you have a mediocre game? What's your next thing?
You market the heck out of it just to make that money back.
Okay, but of course you want. But that's what we're saying. This is a problem though, too, right?
But I mean, just logically, the way I see it is just, hey, what are you gonna do if you're content with the game being what it is? You can't put any more money into more development. That's all you can do. As a businessman or someone who's running a company trying to make a profit. I don't know. It's not pleasant.
So Greg actually, I mean, if I'm assuming this would be Greg's strategy because he made a good point earlier. Like, what if you lowered the price?
Right. I think you'd end up making more money by making the game cheaper because it's more accessible. And those people are going to... Honestly, especially even at that point, no one's going to even trade it back in because they're not going to get anything for it. Mm-hmm. If you're trading in a game that costs you $40, you might get $10 if you trade it right away. Okay,
so then what's your move? Say you're lowering your cost by $10 per unit and you're putting yourself in a hole. What's the move, like on the DLC or something, to make up for budget losses?
Are you saying by releasing DLC to make up
or like what's the move? Like you wanna bury your debt, of course.
Yeah.
What's the move? Like what sells the game more? Like what is the feature or thing that sells the game to the hearts and minds of the gamers?
But you're already saying that the game is a mediocre title and it's done.
I'm saying all the features of your game are mediocre.
Right, and the game's done.
Your game is a decent shooter. It is a decent platformer. It has
it's done though. The game's finished. The game's finished.
No. You can take one aspect of the game and say, like, this is the feature that I think is going to stand out today and make it different. That's my question. That's the overall question. If there's any confusion, it's basically like right now we're almost at the apex. What's it called when you throw something up and it hits its apex, right?
Climax.
Like we're at our climax of that, right? So we're hitting the point where we're getting diminishing returns on progression in games. What is the next thing that changes it? Like what
can you do to make your game unique and stand out is the question.
But it's a little broader than that because I'm also asking, like, what can you do outside of the realm of creating the game? I'm saying, like, what do you do for your plans?
But that doesn't matter. Like, if you ask me, because yes, I do care about marketing. It's like it's what we do, But like, I don't like that's even becoming like the question right now. Like I say, just make a better game and then don't worry about the marketing because a good game will market itself. Obviously, that's not logic. I mean, that doesn't make
for sure.
That's not going to happen.
Right.
Even the games that don't have a huge marketing budget will still.
So the game aside, if you go to GameStop or Amazon, wherever the hell you buy your games nowadays, and you saw a title that looked promising for $40 and offered free DLC the next 3 months, are you inclined to buy it?
I don't know. I guess it depends on the game. I mean, I have to look at what kind of game it is.
Right. I understand. I'm not really giving you a good comparison, but I'm just trying to understand as a whole what sells games anymore, aside from the basic marketing strategy.
I think it's it depends obviously on the person. What kind of games you like to play is the first thing. But I think beyond that, yes, the marketing sells it. Gameplay wise, it has to have and this is generalizing. I'm not saying just me. I'm looking at a general spectrum here. It has to have a rich online community or multiplayer aspect to it, where people can socialize within the game. Maybe that's a good way
to do it. What would you take as your game right now that would keep you hooked? I mean, I know you're doing Dragon Age right now, so that's probably a pretty good example for you.
Yeah, like I don't need anything else for that game. That game is solid for me. I will put 100 hours into that game. I know it. No doubt about it. I'll probably put way more than that into that game.
Will you buy DLC?
It's interesting is I might, but even like Skyrim, I loved Skyrim and I played it till I couldn't do anything more with it. When the DLC came out, I didn't buy the DLC. I almost felt like I didn't want to
sully the experience.
Yeah, maybe I was afraid that it was going to be... I mean, I don't know, because with Fallout, I bought all the DLC for Fallout. I don't know why I didn't buy the DLC.
What about you, Francois? Like, right now, what would be your next game? I mean, I guess the one that I would think would be for you is just Destiny, because that's what we've been playing for long term.
For me, I mean, I don't want to like, what we do, like
it's not
that horn.
It's not the standard, right? But it is.
But for me, I just like I look at reviews. I look at what people are saying. What, like, if obviously I'm going to get the games I know about, right? Like Mortal Kombat, I love the series, so I'm going to pick up, no matter what, I'm picking up the next Mortal Kombat. But I like reading reviews. I like reading previews, and I see if I like that kind of game, or if I can see myself playing that game. I know what I like. Obviously your Final Fantasies or games that I'm not a big fan of are going to score high, but I know I don't like those games. I'm not going to pick it up. But if I could see myself, like, let's say I like shooters, and someone's saying good things about a certain shooter that's coming out or that has come out, I pick it up. So a lot of my decision making is based on reviews,
based on research, reviews,
previews.
Yeah.
So that's how I do it. I mean, marketing doesn't really get me at all. Even though like Evolve, for example, I'm not a big fan of Evolve, but the commercials are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I see the commercials are
the trailer, cool. Like the Evolve trailer was awesome. That got me super hyped.
Yeah, but that doesn't do anything for me. So, and that free DLC stuff is nice. Would it be awesome if the people who made 1886, The Order, gave free DLC to make right for the fans? Yeah, but then again, you can't do that for every game. Sometimes you just gotta move on. This is what happened. Obviously they couldn't start from scratch. Maybe at one point they said this game's coming out mediocre, but what do you do when you're so knees deep into whatever you were doing already? You just kind of release it, see what happens, do better next time.
And speaking of moving on, new segment in our show where we try a piece of candy/food item and discuss it.
Greg so graciously went out and bought some of these Russian snacks that are curious in nature. I think we're going to go ahead and I think we're going to distribute them. Francois, can you please grab the first snack?
Well, how will we be scoring this?
On a scale of...
however the hell you want.
1 to delicious? 1 to 3.
1 to 3.
1 to 3.
Okay. That's bad, though, because then 2 is always going to be like the medium.
Yeah.
Everything's going to get a 2.
Okay, I'm going to try
to read... Can you tell us about what's on this box, Francois?
Okay, there is a trio of cherries.
Trio of cherries, okay.
On a box. So this is Russian. Is this Russian?
Is it?
Okay.
I don't know. Go ahead and try to pronounce the name that's on the other side of the box there.
Jutrenzenka.
Okay, very good. Perfect pronunciation.
But I'm assuming this is the title of the snack itself. It's
probably
the biggest. Mella, Mella.
Yeah, I think they're Russian or Polish or something.
There's
all right,
something
Greg.
I don't.
So what do you got? You open it up here. There's a little bit of papering on top.
Yeah, a little wax paper or
some crinkly
can
paper.
You hear that? Can you hear that real quick? Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Okay, and
you can tell it's fancy. Okay.
You open the box and they're in.
So what are you expecting from that?
I'm expecting something really sweet.
Well, there was a trio of cherries on the box.
Yes, and so there's a picture of the chocolate itself. Well, okay, so it's a chocolate and inside is some sort of filling. And the packaging shows a piece of it cut so you can see what's in the middle and some sort of gelatinous
Why don't you bite into one and give us a little...
Oh, my God.
And then after you bite into it, just let us know if the marketing was deceptive, what you would have done differently.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so
I'm going to go right ahead. All right, Francois is now biting in. Okay. Okay, there's an initial face of shock.
There's some wincing.
There's a little wince. There was a shock and also a wince.
What would you say? What are your first impressions?
It's still...
the consistency wasn't something I expected.
Okay.
It's a little more... I thought it would be a little more chewy. Okay. It's actually a lot softer. Mm-hmm. It's really sweet.
It's kind of weird listening to Francois use all these adjectives. He's like, it's soft, it's sweet, it's squishy.
I just finished the rest of it. I just bit the first half, and now I'm finishing it.
What's your finishing thoughts?
I definitely won't be rushing to reach for another one.
Okay, not good. Okay,
not good.
Okay, so it looks like there's about 16 of these in here. Greg, how much did you pay for this?
About $2. It's
$2.
It's a cheap guy. So
well, it's okay. I mean, like, do you think right now can you think of another fruit snack or delicious Russian snack that you would maybe give a little more credit for its dollar to experience ratio?
Probably not.
Like $2, what do you buy? Look, Francois, you got 16 delicious snacks there. $2.
But have a Crunch Bar.
Yeah, I will say this because I had one earlier today. It's almost like I had a couple actually, as you can see earlier today.
There are 5 pieces missing.
Yeah, so I've eaten 4 of them, but they are like a diabetic. They'll kill a diabetic, I think.
Yeah,
pretty much instantly.
One bite.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're biting into pure sugar.
There's no warnings on there at all?
So from a scale of 1 to 3.
I will give it a 1.
It's getting a 1.
Oh,
That's
it's
the
got a 1.
Mela
Come back to this.
cherry-filled chocolates.
Oh, wait. On the box, there is orange flavor, lemon flavor, and raspberry and blueberry, I think.
We'll have to look into those.
We'll have to see.
No.
No, okay.
No, thank you.
Greg, you also have a snack over there. What do you got?
This is the, it's called the Delicje, DELICJE.
We're going to leave it up to the listener to decide how that's pronounced.
Delicje, European biscuits with strawberry. So I'm just going to open it up here. You can have it's got a resealable top
to Greg
here.
From Dad.
I
Merry
wish
Christmas.
I tried that.
And I'm going to open it up here, and I have a cookie. And so what I'm looking at right now, it's a standard biscuit cookie, and on top of it is just chocolate. But I could see underneath the chocolate, there's definitely some sort of filling, and according to the casing, it's going to be strawberry.
Strawberry filling. Okay,
So-
Greg, what was the retail value?
This one, I have the price still on it, 99 cents, and there's
Wow.
about 10 cookies in here.
10 cookies for
That's a good
99
buy.
cents.
So
Wow.
I'm going to take a bite into this and let you guys all...
Okay, Greg is biting in. He's giving it a good,
It's
a healthy
about
bite.
a $half size, I would say.
Yeah, probably sell it for $half. No.
Well, so what do you think, Greg? Initial impression.
It's sweet.
Sweet, huh?
It's good. It's one of those things that I could probably eat 1 or 2 of.
Yeah.
It would probably be really good if it was cold.
Ah.
I do like the texture though of the chocolate with the it's like a little bit of a crunch with the chocolate.
Little crunch.
Then you got a sweet soft jelly inside. And then you got a nice soft biscuit on the bottom.
Oh, so the finish. The finish,
good.
you got a soft biscuit
So this-
exit.
I'll take one more bite, give you guys a second
All
impression
right,
on
he's
this.
going to go in for another one.
Does the strawberry come through good, or can you?
It's, you know what though, the strawberry's coming through, but it's almost too sweet.
Yeah,
It's
so
a
I was going to ask, when it comes to artificial fruit flavoring, typically it is not accurate as to the actual potency of said fruit, right?
No, it's almost like eating a fruit roll up.
It's a chemical.
Yeah,
It's
I'm gonna give this one a 2 though, a 2 out of 3. It's right in the middle there.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Not stellar. Not Francois Mella. No.
Ugh, mellow.
Nope. That's my judgment on this guy.
Right.
John,
Do I have one?
There's.
Oh man, I think we've spent too much time on this already, though.
No, I think we just
No,
spent
okay,
just
real
the
quick.
right amount of time.
Oh, okay, I've eaten these already, but I'm gonna eat another one. Greg knows I hate cherry, so he gave me the cherry flavored Jezik cherries here. So I'm gonna bite this. It comes off to me as like if you've ever had a Star Crunch. Anyone ever had the Star Crunch? It's like a little Debs. No, I'm gonna take a bite here.
Nope.
Oh yeah, I've had the Star Crunch. I know what you're talking about.
First of all, let me just say, texture great. It's got some
Such a good texture on those
It's got
cookies.
such good texture. Delicious. I wouldn't say delicious, okay, because I'm not a fan of the cherry, but the texture. We got some Rice Crisps in there.
Like a crunch bar.
You're crunching it. The most satisfying thing I've taken a bite of all day for sure. Flavor wise, not a fan of the cherry. Standard chocolate flavoring.
But is it good though? I mean, you say you don't like cherries, but for a cherry fan, would they like this?
Well,
Cookie.
once again, and it's another true case of the chemical flavor not accurately portraying what cherry tastes like. It's more of a I don't know what's one of those chemicals, riboflavin 7 yellow dye, bisin something gum.
Right.
So it's good. If I were a cherry fan, I'd give it a 2. Unfortunately, I have to give it a 1 on its texture merit alone.
I'm a cherry fan, and I give those a 3. So.
Oh, okay. So you see, guys, you put different amount of money based on where your preferences lie, and I think we came full circle with our lessons for today.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I think this proved a huge point.
I think the Russian cookies were the best way to probably come full circle on our major topics today.
Everyone's different. You know,
We're all different.
We're all different, guys. You know.
We're all pink on the inside.
Ooh.
Recommendations for this week. Francois, you bring any recommendations to the table? I think we have a few.
Like I said earlier, to you guys off this podcast, not Evolve, because I'm just not a fan. I have the new 3DS and Majora's Mask, and I went into getting the new 3DS not expecting much, and I really enjoy it. I think it's just super cool. The 3D features have been bumped up tremendously, and I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. So yeah, I just wrote up an article on the site too, so definitely check that out.
Yeah, it was good. He actually, Francois was very proud of his photography skills there.
Yep.
He did a very good job pointing out all the goods and the bads.
I use my Samsung Note 4 to take pictures.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah, hopefully they send me a free phone now.
They will, yeah.
Cha-ching.
So.
Greg, recommendation for this week?
This is it's kind of old at this point, but I'm going to tell people to play Dragon Age, especially if you are not playing it because you think it might be a little too technical or too overwhelming because it is a massive game. Once you get in the flow of things, it's super satisfying. I can relate it to playing. It reminds me of playing Skyrim. It's a lot of fun, a lot of adventuring, good time. Get Dragon Age if you're not sure yourself. Just get it. It's fun. You'll like it.
I feel like Greg's talking directly to me because I am one of the people who bought Dragon Age and never played it because I felt like I wasn't ready.
And you scared me. You scared me to buy it.
I scared you away.
You scared me away.
That's why you always got to try.
I just went and did my own thing, and I realized
try it for yourself.
Yeah. I have a second recommendation. It's listening to old radio shows.
Oh, old radio shows.
Yeah. Last night I listened to Buck Rogers in the 25th Century instead of watching a George Clooney movie, and it was like hopping in a time machine. Real bizarre. Great stuff though. They're all online for free. I think it's called like radio shows.com. I don't know. You Google it.
We'll put a link up to it in the podcast crap
for sure.
My recommendations for this week, I actually have a review up on the site for Hand of Fate by Defiant Development. I don't know if you guys have played this yet. You guys. Actually, I don't know, Francois. I don't know if you're a huge fan of that crap. Greg, definitely.
Nope.
It's definitely for guys who, we get together once a month or once every 2 months and we play board games. All my friends that come to board games, you guys know what I'm talking about. It basically takes the best of board games with the chance and the dice rolls and stuff and fits it all into a single player game where you actually play out your combat. Everything you earn within the game falls onto your player when you get into combat scenarios, and the flavor text is just great. Every time you land on a card, it's a different kind of story. And it's just really, really fun. I think right now it's $15 or $20. They say I played it on Xbox One. It definitely had some graphical problems, but for sure, if you can get it on Steam, get it on Steam. If not, elsewhere is fine. But definitely check out Hand of Fate.
Any secondary recommendations?
Secondary recommendations. Let's see.
You didn't even think about it? We're live.
I'm going to recommend Bullet Bourbon because that's the only thing I could think of lately that I've taken into my body and really enjoyed. My body, not so much. My mind will forever.
You're recommending alcohol on a kid's podcast.
On a children's show.
On a children's show.
I'm sorry.
Unbelievable.
All right. Yeah, make sure you mix it with grape juice.
I'm just going to have another Mela for that one.
You got to go for the next Mela. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out again this week. We hope you enjoyed it. Greg, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Francois, we will see you in 2 weeks because we're doing a bi-weekly thingamajig, right?
Yeah, well,
we'll see you before then.
Oh, yeah, guys. We have PAX coming up. Yeah. Oh, and we didn't talk about the New York Video Game Awards, which I definitely wanted to talk about.
Well, we can do that next year.
Yeah. The 5th annual.
I put so much work into it.
Everyone, John did do a good job on the Video Game Awards.
I don't know if anybody you guys watch. We have to talk about it for a second. So I don't know if any of you guys watched the New York Video Game Awards. We had it live streaming. We had over 120,000 people tune in. Not at the same time, but we did check the Twitch stuff. But it was really great. We got to talk to a lot of cool people. It was at Villain in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. It was a night of the stars.
Yeah.
All the stars were out.
Huge stars were there.
Yeah.
Huge stars.
And it was like 2 degrees out, and people actually made their way out. It was on a Monday night.
It was packed.
President's Day.
Yeah, it was President's Day, so.
But it was good. I did all the signage. I did a lot of work for it. Thanks to everybody who helped out. Victor, George, Harold, everyone that was up with me in the pit. Greg actually fixed an audio issue we were having, which was he saved the day. Last minute.
But then we had another audio issue that I just couldn't fix. So sorry for the people watching on Twitch with the delay. I had nothing to do with it.
There was a slight... I was really good at the good things and had nothing to do with the bad things at all. So New York Video Game Awards was a great success, and thanks for everybody for supporting it and all that good stuff. And PAX, guys. PAX is in 2 weeks, and we're gonna probably do some stuff there with some friends from DualShockers, from Mashable, from whoever the heck wants to be on.
Critics people. I mean, if you're around, you want to hang out with us, tweet at John.
Tweet at me or Francois. You got our Twitters are on the site, but definitely hang out with us. We're definitely going to be around. We have to schedule some appointments and crap, but we're going to try to go to as many parties as we can and hang out with as many people as we can. We want to meet you and we want to hang out with everyone. So
or tweet at Mike Califano. It's at Amish Mike on Twitter.
At Evangelion.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mike, we miss you. Where are you? You're in the back of a milk carton somewhere. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out this week. We appreciate it. And I really want to...
Just end it, John.
I want to do... There's a catchphrase.
For us?
Well, you know, I just want to be like, hey, guys, listen, thanks for tuning out. I appreciate you finding another way around.
That's good.
Fuck. What do we do, though?
Not going to do that.
Just end it.
I think we should just end it. Just say...
There's no more.
There's no more.